Please be advised this review does contain an absurd amount of obscene profanity. Like this.
How do you know you're at a gay picnic? All the hot dogs taste like shit!
So the documentary Gilbert chronicles Gilbert Gottfried's everyday routine with his wife and 2 kids, his childhood and upbringing with his 2 sisters, what he does on the road while he's doing stand-up, and why his routine is so dark and how other people perceive him because of it. I've always enjoyed Gilbert Gottfried as a comedian, and especially as a roaster because he is just savage. And I've always wanted to see the more human side of him because in interviews he always jokes about things more than he does actually share his own side of the story. And I really hate it when comics do that. They get the sense that if they give anything away about them personally, it's going to wreck their persona, which I don't really buy that theory, really. But in this documentary, I was surprised to see how shy and withdrawn he actually is in real life. You get the sense that he's not comfortable expressing his own emotions, and that telling jokes is his way of expressing himself and dealing with the tragedies in his life and with other people in his life. His own wife talks about how sad she was when her grandma died and that she wouldn't be able to call her anymore, and Gilbert just goes, well, sure you can, she just won't answer. And and she actually laughed and felt better about herself, so you can actually get the sense that this method actually works. And some people are going to wonder, why would you let someone document your own life or performances when you're afraid to even look someone in the eye, or you're incredibly nervous about how other people are going to receive your material? And we see through these interviews and some home movies that were made by his sister Arlene, who unfortunately passed away after her part of the movie was completed, that their dad had a certain career path that he wanted Gilbert to follow, but Gilbert saw how happy he made people when he was just telling jokes and doing his own thing, and he was so inspired by that that he decided to become a comedian and dropped out of school in order to do that. And the other interview guests make this sort of implication that he's performing as a comedian just to make up for supposedly failing to meet his dad's standards, and that he's always nervous on stage just in case he can't even please the crowds. And the guest interviews from other comics like Jeff Ross, Joe Piscopo, Bill Burr, even Lewis Black, they're all fun to watch, and they each give valid insights into why not only they think Gilbert's brand of humor is funny, but also how it can be a defense mechanism. Bill Burr, most of all, gives this thoughtful speech about how comedy comes from something painful. And when you take that pain, whether it be a minor issue or something major, and you make a joke about it, it can relieve the tension that you feel inside and acknowledge that pain and suffering is just a part of everyday life. And it's that philosophy that honestly made me feel sad when they talked about him getting fired from Aflac, even though the tweets that he posted were pretty offensive. Then the blatantly obvious question that clearly Aflac didn't ask themselves: why would you hire an insult comic who's known for shit like this to be your mascot? And Neil Berkeley, who's best known for directing Harmontown, actually brings a decent amount of visual style into this movie to tell Gilbert's story. I'm not really into documentaries because a lot of them just rely on interviews and still shots in order to convey their point. And yeah, that's really just about it. But in this movie, Berkeley's actually pretty good at using the camera and the size of the frame in order to say things about Gilbert that he wouldn't say about himself. Like, for example, during the interviews between him, that's when the camera is the closest to him because it's the first time that he's opening up about himself. So we're figuratively and literally the closest to him in those moments. And when he's on the road and he's lying in an empty hotel room or in a crappy dressing room waiting to start his act, all those moments are filmed in huge wide shots, there's no music, you can feel the isolation that he feels in that room. As for problems, I felt like the scenes featuring his wife and kids weren't as interesting as they could have been, and it's not that we don't learn anything about them, we do. His wife Dara is very supportive of his dark humor, but she wishes he would express himself in ways other than just joking around. And his kids are pretty cute. Thank God they look nothing like him. And he actually named them after his own parents. I thought that was kind of cool. But the arc revolving around his sister Arlene, her pretty cool career as a photographer that helped her through her own tragedies, and sadly her failing health, which is also featured in the movie, I feel bad saying that arc is better in comparison, because there's really no other way around it. And the other flaw is on a technical level where it feels like it's in the vein of a made-for-TV documentary where they constantly remind you over and over again who the interviewed guests are through subtitles. Like, we've already forgotten who Artie Lang is and what he looks like. Nobody forgets Artie Lang after looking at him. All we do is stare at a picture of him for 2 seconds and we think, wow, what a miserable sack of shit. It's not every day I can say that a movie with Gilbert Gottfried made me laugh at him and feel sad for him at the exact same time, but honestly, this movie really did that for me, and I gotta give credit to Neil Berkeley for his own unique vision to tell Gilbert's side of the story, and honestly, Gilbert, you have a pretty interesting life, and I'm glad that you opened up about yourself and shared your own story with the rest of the world. And for that reason, I'm gonna give Gilbert a 4 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching, and have you seen Gilbert? Probably not, but if you have, what did you think? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com, and once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.